Greetings!
Hey!
Welcome to Safing Live. Everything should work if properly executed this time. I think it is.
Just waiting a couple seconds to be sure.
You know, I think I told you already, it's the millennial pause. At least that's what Linus told us in one of his tech tip videos. Great. Thank you all also for sending in questions in advance. I have to admit, I forgot that I created the live group on the Discord where I can actually ask you for questions and announce that we are live. So I did now, and we are. And thanks for sending in the questions. This time, just for everybody as a heads up, Daniel today also has Discord open, so at least Discord will be checked by us two-ish, so he can sort of like read the Discord stuff as well. YouTube is only open for me on my second screen, and he has to squint and look over to get the YouTube chat as well. So if you want to reach us, and if you sort of like help us with the tech talk, we both can see the Discord. The link is in the description below. So just click on it, open Discord, and have a chat with us there. Thanks for your help. As I said, we got quite a lot of questions because we announced it in advance. Thank you for sending in those. And I think we should just start with the first one. Monsieur Daniel.
Okay, I'll kind of rephrase the question from memory.
Wait, no, it's just scroll up a bit. It's right there. Okay, here it is.
Okay. I'll read it. Will Portmaster add any features to monitor specific sets of data being transmitted from a PC, such as PII, meaning personal identifiable information?
This question has been posted by Saru Toba. Thank you for the question.
So, there are multiple aspects to this. I think, Rafael, you actually went in a different direction than I did. Do you want to repeat like what you thought this was going to? Maybe let's cover that first.
Okay, I think it can be, and this is the reason why I said maybe you are on during that time as well. I know it's in the afternoon for us here in Europe, but way early for people in the States. And I think he is from the States, at least he said something to that regard. But it's like, from our perspective, when I read it, I was not sure if he means stuff like if we would check data that's sent out and check that packet that is sent out for PII in there, or if we monitor the PII on the device and alert of programs accessing that data on the hard disk or like in memory or whatever. So I think those are both could be valid interpretations of that question.
Okay, so let's start with like hard disk. So Portmaster is built as a network security and privacy tool, so we don't do anything on your drive or something like that. So that's nothing we do. We're focusing probably on network stuff. So if the question was about checking if data is read from there, no. If on the other hand you're asking if we have plans to kind of check data from flowing out, the answer is a bit more difficult. So if you want to look into this more, the technical term for this, which is used in companies quite a lot, is called data loss prevention, which means it prevents you from losing data. And if a company loses data, it means it's being transferred somewhere else and they're having a breach. Or kind of in InfoSec speak, that would be called data exfiltration. And then you have data loss prevention, DLP, technology to make sure it doesn't happen. So what we're planning to do is that so right now we just look at connections at metadata. We are planning to go more into that and look more at connections, which means HTTP, also the encryption layer, TLS, SSL, that stuff. So we'll be going more into that direction, and for like HTTP, that's something we could do. We have no plans for that, but technically that would be possible to do. So we would kind of have to define what your data is, and then we can check for it somehow. So that would technically be possible for HTTP. The big if or but here is that, of course, most connections, and ever growing, thankfully, these connections are encrypted via TLS or HTTPS, as it's called when it's combined with HTTP. So that's something we cannot see. We cannot look into that because the encryption happens between the browser or other application and the server. And Portmaster sits it does sit on your device, but it sits in between there. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to kind of break open the encryption. And this is technically possible. A lot of antivirus engines have done that, and a good chunk of them failed miserably at actually correctly protecting you. So the antivirus engine faked a good encryption for your browser. Your browser thought that everything was good, but in the background, your antivirus engine broke the encryption, opened it to look inside, but then the re-encryption was done so poorly that pretty much anyone else could just open that poor encryption again and also look into the connection and look what's up. And so this is something that's just really hard to do because it depends on the global public key infrastructure, PKI, which handles all the certificates which are needed for this encryption of these connections. So this is really, really hard to do correctly. While we might be able to figure out some way, there will always be the possibility of user error and that being used incorrectly or someone kind of abusing it in some way. So we're not planning, for good reasons, to not break encryption because it is just such a tricky thing to do, and we've been definitely breaking things, and it's just gonna be a headache. So we're not gonna break encryption, but everything that happens outside of encryption, we could do something there. But because especially things handling PI data are pretty much always encrypted already on the web, there's practically no use of doing data loss prevention without breaking HTTPS.
Yep.
So where would that actually be a better place to do? A better place to do that would be in your browser. So either through a extension that could do something for that, or if you're in enterprise context, you can use an enterprise proxy, which is a bit different than just breaking encryption because the browser is aware of that intended man in the middle, and that's somewhere where you could do that.
Yeah. But we're going a little bit from one topic to the next, and especially with the browser extension, I think there is a second question related to that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I just quickly wanted to sort of like address. Toba is here, so welcome. You have been going, so I could not say hello, and I wanted to. Yeah. And I also wanted to say he was talking about DLP, so package inspection and stuff, exactly. So Exactly. I just wanted to clarify that for anybody who's not checking the Discord and only watching this on YouTube, and sort of like to get this straight here. That was my interjection. You can continue.
Okay. Okay.
So because you were on the way basically to go over into, well, there is the possibility for a browser extension maybe to do this for the browser, of course. So this would only then apply to the browser and data that would be transmitted through the browser. But of course, like, I guess at least for me, I'm more concerned about everything else on the device. It's about the pictures.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about
The question is also kind
PDFs.
of yeah.
Yeah.
With DLP. So why do companies deploy DLP? Because they're scared that employees don't actually know and remember or correctly handle the data and just send stuff that they're not supposed to be. If you yourself are on your own device, you are the one who makes the rules how you want to handle your own data. So actually you kind of just have to follow your own rules or don't. There is not a lot of use cases for like you accidentally sending your data. That doesn't usually happen. And if it does, it's not gonna ask you anyway. So it's gonna do it kind of in a very fishy background way where it's gonna try to evade DLP things anyway. So I'm not sure like what the exact use case would be in a kind of consumer setting.
And he's typing, so probably
Okay,
asking
maybe
the question
we
in a
get
second.
a follow-up question on that.
But it's probably due to the delay as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm gonna go into the browser extension quickly and then maybe come back to that later. So browser extension, we've thought about that browser extension. I'm gonna start somewhere else. So the reason Portmaster exists is because you can't have the protections on for your whole device that your browser already has. So for example, browsers can do their own secure DNS. Browsers have these extensions to block the ads, to block analytics, to block tracking, all this stuff. And that's the reason we're like, hey, that's cool for the browser, but what about all the rest? So that's kind of the reason why Portmaster exists in the first place. But of course, the issue with Portmaster is that the browser is a big piece of software that has a lot of connections, and the Portmaster cannot distinguish kind of which tab or window connections come from. So it doesn't see the relationships between these, which of course the browser sees. And so the main intent of creating a browser extension would be to lift kind of this black box view that Portmaster has of the browser to make Portmaster aware of how connections work together, to see, okay, this is not an actual website, this is just a resource used by this website, so we kind of should treat them differently and stuff like that. So it will mainly be to gather data on the connections in the browser, but also kind of give easier configuration controls. So you can be like, oh, I'm on this tab, just allow all connections on this tab, not just the main domain, but all the resources. So you can actually correctly unblock the whole website with all its resources, because that's sometimes a problem when there's something not working on a website because of Portmaster. So you go unblock the domain you see in the search, in the not search bar, the Omni bar or whatever bar
URL.
on top, URL bar. Thanks. But it still doesn't work because Portmaster is actually blocking some resource below it that has a really funky name because it's actually part of another company
CloudFront.
that they use to outsource their CDN at CloudFront, Cloudflare, whatever. So that's kind of where complex websites have complex connections, and Portmaster, because of the missing view into the browser, cannot always correctly handle them. So a browser extension would mainly be kind of for better insights into the browser black box kind of, and the easier settings. That's an idea we have. It's not on the roadmap at the moment.
Yeah,
So
it's not.
it may come, and if it comes, we don't know when.
Yeah, two things there. The question regarding browser extension comes from True Death over on Discord. Thanks again for the question. Came in yesterday. I quickly read it. Will Portmaster ever create a Chrome Firefox extension which works in conjunction with Portmaster Desktop, or could also work independently? In essence, like AdGuard, AdBlock extensions works separately compared to its desktop version, or Windscribe VPN, which can either be applied to one browser only or to the whole system. So, and you said, well, we're thinking at the moment of it integrating into your local Portmaster. And this is basically the second thing. Always when you say stuff like giving more data and stuff, I always want to make clear that everybody who's joining in new understands this is data sent to Portmaster locally and does not leave your device. It's Portmaster is not sending any data to us. We don't know it. If you have issues with Portmaster, you need to report them and please do, because Portmaster does not send any telemetry back. And we got our first YouTube comment. Hello, Dash. Great to see you back. There's actually, Dash, a lot of action going on over on Discord at the moment. So if you use Discord, click the link in the description to join the people there if you want. If not, all is well. I have the YouTube chat open also, but great to see you.
So yeah, following up on that, if there is a browser extension, it's going to be just kind of an addition, an extra way to gather information for local Portmaster and to give you more control. It will definitely not be a standalone thing. There's a lot of other extensions that already do that. There's no need to replicate something that's already here and works well.
True. But the integration is useful. And so we know that, but it's not on the roadmap. We have other stuff we want to do first. And maybe we can share some exciting stuff in the next live stream in 2 weeks.
Maybe.
Oh no. That would...
I'm not here in 2 weeks.
Me neither. I just realized. Really? Okay.
3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks. Sorry, guys. Okay, but so Toba, sorry, had some additional stuff where he's like explaining that for him, he's worried about applications sending data out without his knowledge. And then giving additional reasoning why this is important to him. And I so understand. And this is the reason why we built Portmaster, exactly that. But as we said, like the way it's a multi-layered problem, and you should not use an application you don't trust. That's the first thing. And if you don't trust it to connect to the internet, don't let it connect to the internet. Portmaster already gives you the easy option to block all internet connection for that application. You need to be a little bit careful with that, especially for stuff with games. When I see some support requests, some people sort of like don't understand that one piece of software, and Portmaster for like it's the same thing. Portmaster consists of 3 pieces like running next to each other at all times. It's like it's the notifier, it's the core, and it's
the UI.
It's the UI, yeah, and the UI does not run all the time, but it's basically like it's those 3 things, and then with the kernel extension as a separate part as well. Mm-hmm. So it's multiple things, and those connect with each other. And so sometimes, especially with games, the connection leaving your device is not called the same as the game itself. Typically, it's the anti-cheat process, which is doing the connection, or sometimes it's the anti-cheat process, which is doing the connections.
Also doing connections, definitely.
Yeah. So, and this one would be the one you would want to block. But then, of course, like multiplayer gaming does not work and stuff like that. So, but be wary of the software install. I guess that's the main thing. When I talk with people about VPNs and about like what you could actually do through a VPN tunnel, and that you are actually like connecting to another network and stuff, and they're like, oh no, what can they now do? Because when I start realizing it, I'm like, you already trust them. You have their software on your device. If you're not compiling it yourself, they can push an update which starts like crypto mining,
auditing, and then compiling.
Yeah, exactly, and all that stuff. So I'm like, you need to trust them anyway. Don't be mad about like just them being able to connect to you. You need to sort of like be aware of what you install. So I so understand the point where you're coming from. I don't think that deep package inspection is what will actually help you to rest easy. I think having a good hygiene of deinstalling applications which you don't use. I, for some reason, installed WebEx a short time ago. And it's also installed multiple subparts, and I needed to get it out. You really need to get digging in there.
Never gonna get rid of that rootkit.
Yeah. See, this is the reason why I have physical separate hard disks in my in my machine. Yeah. It is, yeah. Those operating systems don't know of each other at all. So yeah, be wary. Be wary about what to install. Deinstall stuff you don't need. Also on your phone, applications you don't need to install them. I think Kerry Parker from Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons, cool guy, keeps on beating that drum is I think the term you say. And I think it's a good one. Like update your stuff and deinstall what you don't need. Yeah. Good
also
practice.
Continuing on a thought from Saratoga, there. Because you mentioned like companies gathering data. Normally, this is done over a separate domain. So you can just block that domain, or in the browser, sometimes it goes over the same domain. But in the browser, please use an app block. The most recommended currently is uBlock Origin, which probably has these URLs blocked anyway. I've to date never seen a system that uses the same URL for like their normal operation and gathering data. So kind of somehow multiplexing over that kind of to hide that. It's just too much work for them. So you should be able to really block everything with the browser extension and Portmaster on your system. So that should get everything. So I don't think that we need DLP right now.
Dash, as I said in the beginning, I don't know if you've been here. We have a couple of questions over on the Discord, which have been sent in advance. We want to go through, but yours is quick to answer. Your Dash is asking any experiences regarding Portmaster on OSs like Cubes or Wonix. We have reports of people using Portmaster on Cubes, but and I have no clue how well this worked. But I did not hear back negative comments, so I assumed it worked well.
Yeah, just as a side note here, we don't yet support VMs and similar stuff like Docker yet. That's something we're working on. And it will happen eventually. Just that if root things happen, that could be the case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even though Cubes, of course, has a Fedora base and we have Fedora native support, and you are watching this on a Fedora machine, like we are recording this on a Fedora machine, so Portmaster absolutely works on Fedora beautifully. But no guarantees here. So, and I don't know what the base beneath Wonix is.
Whonix. Yeah, Whonix is this kind of Tor.
I know, but
thing.
what the base is underneath it.
I don't know either.
Yeah, see.
But if using Whonix, you probably are trying to use Tor.
Yeah, that's what he says anyway.
So
complete traffic via Tor.
Not sure what the use case is then.
Oh, it's Portmaster, not SPN.
Just Portmaster. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's only Portmaster.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
But that's going to be interesting because you're probably just going to see stuff connecting to the Tor proxy. And that's it. So I don't know how much sense it would make to run Portmaster on that machine then. Yeah.
Well,
depending on how it's implemented. I don't know that either. So, yeah.
Great.
Okay.
So back to the top. There has been a question. Will von Futile Receipt?
Recipe?
No.
It's not that thing, right?
No, recipe. Okay, whatever. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Will CAN portmaster block all connections before the SPN is initialized or is interrupted, like on reboot and or portmaster instability? I don't know about portmaster instability. Please let me know if you have so. So as not to leak real IP, similar to most VPNs having something like a kill switch or lockdown mode, as the term can be different on different VPNs.
Okay, I'd like to answer this question in two parts because there are two aspects to this. So first, let's just talk about Portmaster without SPN. So Portmaster on Windows uses, I'm going to focus on Windows here. If anyone wants the Linux side of things, please tell me. Uses a kernel extension, which kind of integrates with the Windows kernel and the network stack and through the Windows filtering platform. So it kind of plugs into there and works together with Windows to decide if connections should be allowed to go through or not. And there is an option there to make this kernel extension permanent, whereas the kernel will start with itself. So that will make the kernel extension always present, so that there's no way something could bypass it. But we're not yet doing this permanence because if things go wrong, it will break your machine. Not break, but will cut you off from the network. So right now we're just loading it when Portmaster service starts, but Portmaster service, important, is a system service, not a user service. So it starts before you even log in. So as soon as your PC starts, that will, before you log in, it will already be running. That is enough for pretty much every use case. If you have concerns about Microsoft, you should rethink using Microsoft because it's Microsoft. If you don't trust the people like
writing your S,
running your kernel,
yeah,
your S, then you should just switch OS in that case.
Fedora, cool option.
So there is currently
Manjaro.
there's a slight possibility that some connections might leak before Portmaster is fully started, like from Windows. It's not going to be updates because that's another process that is big and stuff later. It's going to be just usual network kind of awareness things. Nothing I think you should worry about if you already use Windows anyway. So Portmaster starts before you log in, and then the protection is there. You can log in, everything's good.
And then afterwards, only the system stuff, like the user stuff, can start anyway.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
this is basically something that you sort of like mentioned. We are system level. Like Portmaster starts with the system itself. So before the login and everything, and most of the stuff you're concerned about starts afterwards, and only can start afterwards. This is also partly why we're like, and reboot is good after installing Portmaster and stuff like that, so that everything starts properly.
Yeah.
One after the other.
So that was Portmaster side of things. Let's look at SPN side of things, where things are just beautiful because, of course, it works together with Portmaster. So as soon as Portmaster is running, like everything is great, and there is a very clean process. So of course, if SPN already starts with Portmaster is already enabled, then everything is clean, and of course, Portmaster will prevent anything from going out the wrong way. So every connection is validated, and if SPN is enabled but it's still initializing, connecting, failing, whatever, connections are being blocked until it's ready. So it's not kind of only when it's ready it will start doing things. It's as soon as PortMaster is running, it will enforce your settings. And the default is always, if there's an issue, is always block. If there's a failure somewhere, block. The default is always block. So as soon as PortMaster is running, you're perfectly safe and everything will work correctly. So if it's like, even if the connection dies, it's reconnecting, everything's good. And so even if you do reinitialize, it will also kind of be in that state where
the kernel extension.
Yeah, where everything's protected.
Yeah.
If you like turn it off, then things will go through ClearNet and then on again. If you just turn it off and on, you have a very short time frame where that could happen. But we're thinking about creating a reconnect button where
everything is halted.
Yeah, everything is back to back, and you cannot leak connections. So you can easily reconnect if there's an issue with your home node without fear of anything leaking.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's
We're
something.
just thinking about that.
No, I've been thinking about it for a while now, but I hadn't time to actually do it. The only thing you have to be careful of is kind of the boot process. But as soon as PortMaster is running, everything's beautiful and cleanly implemented. So that's sweet, I would say.
Okay. Let's move on. Erkdog asks.
I like it when things are so clean and work well and
Erkdog asked, and also I just see that you wrote it's 9 a.m. for you, so good morning to you. I'm 5 coffees in today, so I hope you had your first one also. When will node operators receive some sort of remuneration for stable and long-lived node operation? I don't exactly know. What you're asking for in detail? But at the moment, we thought about like how we are going to do community nodes and how to integrate them at the moment. And I remember you said I should do a friend request thing via Discord. I'd appreciate if you would send us an email. Currently, if somebody is hosting community nodes, thank you. Very cool. And if you want us to sort of like share something like in regards to revenue, in regards to maybe SPN access or stuff like that, get in touch via email. I also saw, of course, Erkdog, that you paid us as well, like for 4 years of PortMaster Unlimited. Very cool, thank you. I also would quickly want to address here, I'm sorry that your bank charged in advance, not in advance, but for the conversion fees. I guess that this is something that your bank will tell you. I don't know. Like my bank always charges me, but of course for me in Europe, it always has been the case that I have to pay in different currencies, and typically the bank itself, your bank probably has better rates for you than any other service. So my recommendation would always be use your bank's conversion service. It typically is better, but of course this may vary. At least for my bank in Europe, in Austria, this usually has been the case.
It depends on also you think your credit card, if they do conversion already, or if the credit card company charges you a euro amount on your dollar bank account, then the bank to do the conversion. So it's all a complex money thing.
Let me tell you, we have been thinking for a while of having a dollar tier as well, because we, of course, some servers we're running want to be paid in dollars also. So we have to pay this transaction and this conversion fee quite frequently as well. So we have been thinking about it, but of course for us, our bookkeeping, our accounting would then have to be in 2 currencies as well, and we already have bookkeeping for all the different, like for crypto as well. It already is complex and a huge operation stuff in that regard. So yeah, I'm sorry for the unexpected charge on your end. It has nothing to do. The money did not come to us. You paid it to your bank or your credit card or something. We did not get any cents out of that or something. It did not come to us. So please be aware of that in the future. And if you are not in a Euro country, just know if you pay us, we get everything in euros, and any fees in regards to conversion and stuff like that, it's your bank, it's your payment provider, and or stuff like that. We don't get any of that money, so I'm sorry. There's nothing that we can do. And also in regards to, as I said, if you run a community note, thank you, and get in touch via mail. Just, I think, do we have a specific email? Okay, then just go for support@Safink, and it will. In the end, I will write you back, and maybe even via Discord then. But we will figure this out, and it is a little bit more complex. Please write an email. I would prefer to keep that separated from Discord. Sorry, I'm quickly reading through it.
Question.
Okay, yeah. Maybe then just quickly. Moon, welcome. I know yours has been a little bit a while back when you said, glad to see you guys again. Glad to read and see you as well. And then Dash asked the question after the other questions. Yeah, please. Do you know if a service like yours is forbidden to use in some other countries? I don't know of any. You do? You do? I don't.
Well, a service like ours.
Depending on what part of it?
Well, I don't think we were already explicitly mentioned somewhere. Probably not. I would guess that a couple lawmakers would just throw us into the VPN pool and be like, "Oh, you're a VPN."
Oh, that is true. That's true.
And VPNs are not allowed in some countries, definitely. I don't think we're explicitly forbidden to be used at some countries, but I think, they would probably just be like, it's a VPN.
Yeah. Do you recall? I think at the end back in the day we thought of not using Stripe but using a different payment service, and it is actually a European one. And they were very vague about why they did not want us. And upon pushing and asking them and just telling us why, they said, well, you're a VPN, and that's the reason why we can't offer a service to you. Yeah. And we're like, this is not according to your terms of service, and it's not. And of course, they can say no, and I don't blame them. Any business can say no to serving somebody.
Yeah, but it would be nice if they actually put it in terms of service instead of
in advance
going through the whole process and then in the end saying no.
Exactly. So this was why we went with Stripe, because the European version said no, and Stripe is cool for credit cards, but not super they're not in the GDPR, they're not in
for Europe they have to be.
They have to?
Yeah, definitely. I think the Europe payments are handled like every other big company, but in Ireland, or was it I think Ireland something?
Okay, whatever. But it's in that regard, I just wanted to say we wanted to go with a GDPR compliant, fully in Europe company, but it didn't.
Yeah, that would have been nice, but well.
Yeah. Well then. Omari asks in regards why only the 10-minute connection log.
Oh yeah, that's something I saw. Mostly because so 10 minutes. Let me explain a 10 minutes first, and then I'll go into why only 10 minutes. Because a 10 minutes only means that it's not kind of the 10 minute from kind of where you're now, but it's 10 minutes after the connection is dead. So of course you'll see the connection the whole time it's active, and Portmaster is actively monitoring all connections to see when they actually end. So as long as the connection is active, you will always see it. But as soon as it ends, it will be cleaned up after 10 minutes because at some point there will be loads of connections and you have to put them somewhere. And right now they're only in memory because we don't persist anything to disk because that
multiple reasons.
Yeah.
It's speed. It's also where do we write it? How do we write
protect
it there?
it would leak and all that stuff. Could leak. So all that stuff. So it's a lot easier and more private to keep it in memory, and memory is an not infinite resource. So we have to be careful to also manage expectations there because people will be like, why is Portmaster using 3 gigabytes of RAM of my 2 gigabytes?
We have somebody like that on Discord right now.
Yeah, that's because I think there are some cases where this can happen. This is a bug, we'll fix it. But Portmaster normally, I think, uses, if you're not using SPN, important because SPN means a lot more data flows through Portmaster process. But if you're not using SPN, I think we're like consistently below 100 megabytes.
Yeah. So if your Portmaster has above 100 megabytes of memory use, close the UI. The UI takes up a lot as well.
Yeah, we're not counting the UI
because it's Electron, and Electron just it's.
We're gonna switch away from Electron, but right now it's Electron. Yeah, just close the UI. You don't need the UI. Everything works without it. It's just your window into it. Yeah. You can just close the window.
Exactly. So that's the one thing that you can do to reduce. Or the other thing is you have tons of connections, but of course it's not that much data. But we know of people who are like seeing the amount of connections they have and like the amount of memory the Portmaster uses. So that can be an issue there as well. Yeah. Or maybe it's the bug we are fixing. Or it's the SPN because it's like moving more data.
Yeah, there is one bug that we've seen that's actually not in regards to the connections, but somewhere else. But
okay, well.
Whatever. So why only 10 minutes? So 10 minutes means 10 minutes as of the end of the connection. So you always see all active connections in only 10 minutes because that's a reasonable. 10 minutes is a reasonable time frame where you can see what is happening now, and it's not a huge
burden on memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's sort of like a sweet spot. I think it used to be 5. We increased it to 10 at one point.
I don't remember anymore, but there was some change at some point, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So we increased it to 10, and the reason is as we explained.
And we are working on the
history
module, so that will come in the near future. So then you can opt in to record all your connections, save them on a disk with all the negative consequences that comes with that.
It will be slower to look at. It will it will not be like in memory.
And then you can like go back in time and look at like what happened there. So that is coming. But the ultimate privacy way of things is just memory. Do not persist anything on disk.
And that's why it is as it is right now. But we hear you. We hear everybody who's like, we want to record more. We understand history module is on the roadmap and is coming. Cool, very cool. Moon asked over on YouTube, I have a question. Can you use Portmaster and Simple Wall at the same time? Can you? I think the answer is...
I think you can.
Yeah.
The question is,
should you?
Why?
That's another question as well.
Why would you want to? But I think it works. I think we had a report that it works. We also have a blog post that compares Portmaster and Simple Wall.
I think.
Is that correct?
I think yes.
I think so.
Because Simple Wall is basically only doing Windows Defender rules, isn't it?
It's managing the Windows firewall and getting all the events, just getting the events from Windows. So it's not actually looking at network traffic. It's just listening to what Windows is saying about the network and then telling Windows to do something. On the other hand, Portmaster actually sits in the network and
in the kernel
and sees every byte, every bit that flows in and out.
Yeah, exactly. So as we already said, if you're in Windows, you should have a basic amount of trust to Microsoft anyway. I personally have Windows machines in my life, so I'm not blaming anybody. If you're a gamer, and I am, there is no way around Windows. Love SteamOS, love what they're doing. There's no way around Windows.
You tried multiple times.
I tried.
To do the
I'm so close
to trying again.
Exactly. But as I said, I already stopped dual booting because that's a whole different nightmare. I'm currently using a SATA switch, and I even opted to go away from my M.2s to SATA drives, like SSD SATA drives back, because you can physically power them off so they don't see each other. Very cool. If you're interested, let me know, and I'm maybe doing one live stream, explain how I did this. I pitched it even to Nick, but Nick did not want to share it, so who cares? See, we have no input into what Nick is doing videos about. Just if you're curious how much influence we have on Nick's videos, we don't have any influence at all. Yeah, so Nick from the Linux Experiment, very cool channel. It helped me a lot in my Linux journey, which is why I have been excited to help him have a business with his YouTube channel. Exactly. So I guess that's it. Yeah, and Moon already said true, and lol. So I guess you found the comparison blog post. It is a little bit outdated. So yeah, if you have any follow-up questions, send an email. We can update the blog post if required. And yeah, hope that helps. Innovative Dev says, I'm late. Oh no, how can you be late? But glad to have you here. And you already said you're late. We're sort of on the way of wrapping up. Like in 13 minutes, I'd like to have at least a planned end. Yeah?
I think there's a nice... I think Innovative Dev is trolling us. He says he got all his passwords saved in Edge connected to Microsoft account as a good privacy practice. I will just comment on this. That really depends on your threat model. So really do your threat model. If Microsoft is not part of your threat model, then that's a good way. If Google is not part of is not a threat in your threat model, use their services because they really rock at security. They do. So it really depends on your threat model and what you're trying to protect against. We're not judging. We're just helping you to enforce your threat model.
Yeah.
So let's move to the last question. I think it was a really good one. Shagotoba asked kind of what if we kind of are aware of the legislative threats to privacy, looking into them, and if so, what do we feel are the biggest threats to privacy, and what can we do to fight it? I have one answer. Should I just go and do one, you do one?
Sure.
Okay. Sure. So I think the biggest threat to privacy is right now, like what I'm seeing with like the uprising of AI and all that stuff is that is humans. You yourself are your biggest threat to your privacy because you will be like, oh, I really want to try this, like, I don't know, filter or this kind of AI thing. And
oh, you mean like the Snapchat filters or TikTok filters?
People will just want to give their data away in order to get all these fancy things, and they will just feed the big giant whatever thing it's going to become. So I think that's kind of like from kind of where we're now. So I think threads evolve, and there are multiple that kind of switch, but that's what I'm kind of scared of, that people will just give away their data freely, and there's pretty much no legislation around AI and how it looks like and what they're allowed to do with it. And the EU is like really like trying to quickly come up with something, but it's gonna take more time, and yeah, we'll see how much damage is done until there. Whereas of course Japan is going the other way. I'm like, whatever an AI ingests is not kind of protected anymore of copyright and stuff like that. So like that's weird. So it can ingest all my private data and then it's theirs. That's weird. Okay. So that's a good way of kind of washing data. It's not the kind of money laundering. It's data laundering.
Data laundering. So you would consider that the biggest
Yeah.
threat to
So I
privacy?
think kind of just because it's so new and people are so excited, they will just accept the threat and just give away all the data to get fancy stuff, cool stuff, or like get benefits. And there will be benefits, of course, but it's always weighing the consequences. And I think as humans, we are emotional driven, of course, and we're probably bad at weighing the consequences.
Yeah,
Especially if like you really don't know what that means.
exactly.
Giving your data to the AI.
Yeah.
Because it feels like it's just giving it to a computer and it forgets afterwards.
Yeah.
It never forgets.
No, and digital stuff. Digital stuff usually, and this is true. Like I think we're way like, and maybe this will change in the future, with the next generation after us. But I feel like we as humans are bad in perceiving dangers in the digital world. I had a talk recently about email. And still there are people who are surprised how bad security is in regards to email. And that like basically with almost any email provider, the admin can read your emails, you know. All that stuff about Tesla videos being like shared and watched by different people within the company, that's the same like with email, anybody can like read the emails. There are maybe some exceptions, and we've talked about some of the caveats there in the past as well, but
it's also very nuanced, so it depends heavily on like what aspect and like how and where, and but email is a dumpster fire.
Yeah. So I think my thing in regards to privacy is, I think that the biggest risk to privacy, I feel like people are still care too much about convenience and not enough about privacy. And I feel like privacy does not have to hurt. And I think I told that story in the past as well, where I had my Firefox configured in a way where I started questioning if I only feel private because it's like such a hassle to use. But I feel like when it comes to privacy and actually doing the work to get more private, I think people are like, will pick the easier option most of the time, and not the more private one. And partly, I mean, we're partly to blame here as well. We picked YouTube because it's easy. And YouTube is absolutely not the most private way to distribute this video. Yeah.
It's also the problem we're trying to solve, because that's exactly why we're building. Because we need technology that is really, really easy.
Yeah.
That gives you privacy and doesn't get in your way.
Absolutely.
And doesn't cause work for you.
Yeah.
And cause headache for you.
Yeah.
But aims to do as much as possible in the background without troubling you, being as smart as it can be. To make decisions for you, kind of filter lists and stuff like that, and we want to in the future like build on that and improve on that. Also, kind of like, for example, like small sneak peek, what we want you to do in the future is to kind of get the community on board and together work on application settings and then distribute them to everyone.
Yeah.
So people need to configure less on their systems and have more privacy at the same time, while everything keeps working, or like almost everything keeps working.
Yeah.
So we're actively trying to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Just to like as a context here. Yeah.
And I think so. I mean, Signal made privacy, but like in communication, fairly easy as well, and stuff like that. So there are efforts to it, but I feel like it's a constant battle. And making stuff easier usually means it's more complicated. It comes with a different set of like issues in regards to developing it. Because you always have to think about it. How can the user maybe break that as well? We talked about the 10-minute thing. The reason why this is the default for now is because this is the most private option. And yes, people are mad and people don't like it, but we sort of said, well, and now we're making an easier option for recording that stuff, and it is less private. Yes, we know. And we hope you do too when you enable it, and stuff like that. But this is sort of like the way we're thinking about it, and I think it's a very cool question. I also like that Moon was asking about, maybe as a final thing for today, just tell something about that's not technical, something you want to share, what we like to do, just basic stuff, just in the last 4 minutes, because Moon is interested.
Sure.
What do you like doing?
I like going into the mountains.
I thought that would
being high up and looking down on stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, we had like a saving walk. Was it a hike?
A small hike.
Okay, good.
Small hike. It really depends on where you come from.
Of
might
course.
or might not be a hike.
Okay, yeah. But up a small mountain a couple weeks back. Looking over Vienna, basically. Very cool. Austria is a fairly mountainous place, so like
in the west.
We're in the Alps.
Yeah, we're at the northeast tip of the Alps. Yeah,
we now are, but Austria.
Where we're here now, that's kind of like 3 kilometers from here. That's where the Alps start, very slowly, going up and up and up and up and up. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Moon specifically asked about coffee. Maybe what I can share is I typically in the morning do a mocha, like the one on the stovetop. We have just a basic espresso, like automated machine here in the office. It's okay coffee from the machine. I like my mocha at home more. But I have been considering, like I also have, of course, a French press. I don't like that coffee that much, but maybe it's the beans I use because like the one is more suited for what you're laughing.
Just reading stuff. It's just okay. No, sorry. I was not laughing about what you're saying, but
about the comment.
About the comment.
Okay. Okay. I've been thinking about getting an AeroPress. Not sure though, because I'm traveling in the summer as well, and AeroPress is easier to bring because it's not made out of metal and stuff. I'm not sure if AeroPress is the way to go for me. And in a little bit further future, I might get a proper espresso machine. But me as like a scientifically minded guy has expectations for an espresso machine, and I saw that those expectations are very costly, and so I'm not sure if I want to pay so much money for an espresso machine. But
yeah, you measure quality in temperature and pressure
and flow rate
and
stuff like that. No, absolutely. And that's we'll see. Yeah. So
I think what Moon is talking about is if we do yodeling, but no, not really. That's
no.
But I do own my lederhosen, of course, and I wear them to traditional festivities, but usually not on a mountain.
I've saw you in your lederhosen for like, I think in like 5-6 times
Yeah, like a couple
once
times
or twice
couple
a year.
times a year. Or whatever.
No, then I have seen you more often than that. But once or twice a year, yeah, I agree, but not today, thankfully.
Why?
Okay.
I mean, my leather hairs are over knee, so they're a bit warmer. So they're not for like hot summer days.
That is true. That is true. Well
Yeah,
then,
and they're quite thick because it's I think deer leather. So
you
it's-
got new ones. I know.
No. Yeah, I had new ones, but I sent them back because no, that was boar leather. They were thinner, but it didn't fit quite well. So, but the one I have is deer leather. And
Okay.
it's quite thick, so it's quite warm too. But yeah, I like them.
So are you saying like if we do a meetup, like in Vienna, because this is something I asked in the beach bar over on Discord. If we do a Vienna meetup, you will wear your lederhosen. Is this what you're promising to the people?
I'm not promising, but it is a fun idea.
See.
Yeah,
So
the
if you would,
thing is, if you go to Vienna with lederhosen,
oh yeah,
you will feel out of place because Vienna is just a big city like every else.
yeah,
Like,
very international.
yeah, very
The,
international.
the
So
United
it's-
Nations is there, so
Yeah.
and
So
stuff like that.
it's not really common to wear that there.
No, absolutely
yeah,
not.
You see them a lot more the more you go west into the mountains.
Yeah, but let us know in the comments below if you, first off, if you're here for the first time about me raising the possibility of a meetup in Vienna. Let me know what you think about it. Also join the Discord if more and more people, because basically for now the resonance has not been too well. Not a lot of people are excited to come to Vienna for this, and I so understand. We're a privacy community. Nobody actually wants to see each other.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want to, let me know. I'm also up for coffee. I met a couple people who are like use Portmaster, part of the community in Vienna already. Reach out via email. Please reach out via email. I know I'm old school like that. Other than that, I think that's it. Has been a lovely chat.
Yeah,
Thank you all for sending in the questions in advance. Thank you all for chatting live with us. Also, of course, for the people who have got up so early to be part of this. Maybe we'll do one a little bit later sometime, but yeah, like it's always interesting to talk to you. Let us know your thoughts, your feelings in the comments below or on the Discord. I left the one last time open. I did not block the chat on the Discord, and I think this was a good thing. I will also try to open the new one up earlier, but as I said, like the next live stream will not be in 2 weeks because in 2 weeks we're both not in the office. So who knows? It won't be in 2 weeks, maybe in 3. We will see. You will see something on YouTube. You will see something on the Discord. If we skip it, and then it would be in 4 weeks, or if we just move it, shift it by 1 week, and maybe then we do 2 after each other, whatever. Yeah, we will see. Thank you for being here and being with us. Fun. It was fun.
See you next time.
See you then. Bye.